Hello everybody, this is Courtney with Fiber Fox Studios, and you are meeting back up with me on part 2 to go ahead and finish out this cardigan. And at this point you're meeting up with me and you finished your front panels. So you have one panel that looks like this on each side, and then of course the original back panel that we began with. So what we're going to do is go ahead and get started with our folding of the panel. So you are just simply going to fold your panel over and have it meet at the bottom edge of the back panel. So this front panel will meet up over here at the bottom, what's the left for me, and then it will meet up over here on this side as well. But we are only going to be marking over a certain number of these little ovals, I guess you could call them, or little stitches right here. We're only going to mark a few of those over in order to do our join for the sleeve area, and then we'll be able to get started on the remaining portion of the body of the cardigan. So we're going to grab a couple of stitch markers, and I'm going to show you guys in some different colored yarn so that you can see the join better, since I am working with a black piece for my own. So we're going to go ahead and grab those stitch markers and get started. So this is the top, or I'm sorry, the bottom corner of my front panel. So right here is my edge where we were doing our triple crochets. So we're going to take that triple crochet section and meet it up with the bottom edge of our back panel. So right here we're going to find those triple crochets on this side, and we're going to put these two together. So this right here will form our sleeve opening, the part that'll be closer to your elbow when you have this piece on. So this is where your arm's going to come out. So we're going to go ahead and grab a stitch marker, and we're going to mark that corner because that's where we're going to begin our join. So right here on this is a chain 4 in my case, and I know you guys can't see the stitches well, but on yours you'll be able to identify the 4th stitch up, and that's where we want to go, so that we're on this first stitch right here, which for me is a chain 4, and I'm in the top of the 4th chain, counting up from the bottom. So now we're going to do the same thing over here on this side, right here. And this again for me is a chain 4, so I count up 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I go right there into the top of the 4th stitch. So if you're looking at it from this direction, you're on that outer stitch that's on the edge of your piece. We're going to go ahead and seal down that stitch marker, and now we're going to go ahead and line up our little sleeve area best we can, and we're going to line it up so that we're counting each of these chain 7 spaces. That's how we're going to guide ourselves to mark appropriately. So this is my first chain 7 space. Here's my second chain 7, my third, and my 4th. So you of course can decide to join less or more on your piece, but I'm recommending that you go to the 4th chain 7, and we're going to mark right there on the peacoat that follows it. So this is where we're going to join to on mine. I'm going to go in through all 4 chain 7s, and my end of my join will end here at the peacoat. So that's this side. So let's go ahead and slip a stitch marker in on this side just so that we have it ready and we don't have to lose that spot. So I'm right there. Now I'm going to go to my back panel and do the same thing. So here's the back panel. I'm going to lay that down, and I'm going to do the exact same thing on the back panel. I'm going to count, here's my first, here's my second, my third, here's the 4th, and I'm going to mark in that peacoat as well, right here, the peacoat that immediately follows that 4th space. So we're counting these chain 7 spaces. And I'm going to add a stitch marker into that one, so I have it back here on my front panel. So I'm just going to slip it in to the peacoat to mark, so I'm marked in the exact same space on each side. Now this is going to be the bottom edge of our sleeve, so we're going to begin doing our join. And to join, like I said, I'm going to use a different color yarn so you can see what I'm doing. But you, of course, will use the same color yarn that you've been using. And I'm going to go ahead, you're going to use the same exact hook, same yarn, and we're going to start our join. So I'm going to use this peach color because that will work really well for you guys to see what I'm doing. It's a good contrast. So now I'm just going to make a slip knot like normal. Sorry, having trouble speaking today. I'm going to make a slip knot like normal. And I'm just going to go ahead and join in to that first corner edge. So I'm on the edge of my project, the edge of the sleeve opening, and I'm just going to go ahead and turn my work so it's going to face in the direction I need, just like that. And at this point I can go ahead and remove my stitch marker because I know exactly where I'm going. I'm going to slip my hook into that top of the 4th stitch. For me, it's right here on our triple crochets. And then I'm going to add my slip knot on. And I'm going to go ahead and pull that on through. So I'm pulling up that loop. I'm going to grab my tail and working yarn and chain 1. And then I'm going to go back down that same exact stitch. And I'm going to finish out doing a single crochet. So I go ahead and let my tail fall. I'm going to grab that yarn and pull up a loop, and then grab and pull through 2 to finish out a single crochet. Now from here I'm going to do a slip stitch join, so I'm going to go into the top of that very next triple crochet, right there in the top of that one on this side, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I'm getting into each side, and I'm going to go ahead and just grab my yarn and pull it on through, and then pull it on through the loop that's on my hook to do a slip stitch. So now I'm going to continue on down that same way, and as you're going to see, you're going to have your peacoats begin to shift where they're going to line up center of those chain 7s, and that's what we want them to do. So it's going to keep our same look continuous around our sleeve. So I'm only going to work in one side of the cardigan at a time. So as I'm doing my join, and of course this will not stick out as much if you are using your same color yarn, I'm going to go into the very next stitch and I'm just going to do a slip stitch. So I'm only on one side. The rest of my work, the other side of my cardigan, is laying off over here. So I'm going to slip stitch over 3 because we have a chain 7. So that center 4th stitch is going to be the point where I want to do my join. So I've done 3 slip stitches, and now I'm going to pick up my other side. And it's the peacoat. I'm going to bring that peacoat over and insert right there into the top of the peacoat. Just like that. And I'm going to go back here to the 4th stitch on that chain 7. It's there on the back side. And I'm going to grab that and pull it on through doing a slip stitch. So I'm just going to pull through all those loops. And that is my join. So I'm going to lower my camera down. I'm going to show you guys this join again, but much closer up. So I'm down here a lot closer now, and we're going to begin again. And as you will notice, we're working here on one side only. Hopefully you guys can see that very clear. But when we grab that peacoat from the other side, or the chain from the other side, we're actually forming a nice little join. So now I'm going to continue slip stitching on one side only. So I'm going to go right there to the very next stitch and insert my hook, grab and pull through, and pull through the loop that's on my hook. And I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to be doing 3 slip stitches this time. And now I've made it here to this peacoat on this side, and I'm going to be joining the other side to this peacoat. So I'm going to take my other panel and bring this chain 7 forward, and I want to identify the 4th stitch because that's going to be the center stitch on it. So 1, 2, 3. This is my 4th, and I'm going to go in on this side, and I'm going to come over here to this peacoat that we just worked up to. I'm going to insert right there on the top of that peacoat, and I'm going to grab and pull through all those loops. So I'm just going to slide it on through nice and gentle and through the loop that's on my hook, and that brings us together again, and we're starting to form that join. So I'm going to pull my hook out and stretch this so you guys can see what you're doing. So you're forming a join like this. It's keeping these gapping spaces and all. It will end up being more seamless looking once you have it on your body. It's not going to be noticeable. So you're going to keep working in that same manner, doing 3 slip stitches, and you're going to be grabbing the center stitch, whether that is a 4th chain on the chain 7 or whether that is a peacoat on the other side, the opposite panel. Either way, you're going to be grabbing and joining those together. So you will work down to your stitch marker that you placed here. This is towards the center of the cardigan, the body area, what's going to be around your, breast area, going down the rest of your body. And then we're going to come back after you finish the join on both sides. I'm going to show you how to begin working the rest of the cardigan body. So we'll be meeting back up in just a moment. You guys are going to go ahead and keep doing your slip stitch join just as I've showed you. And we are meeting back up. I have finished my joins. As you can see here, swap back to my black yarn. And when I have my hand behind here, the join does begin to be very unnoticeable. So it's not going to kind of show itself once you have this on. Obviously, we know where we joined, but it keeps the look enough that it's not a problem, and it's definitely not an eyesore. So this is what you're going to end up with once you've finished both of your joins in the appropriate color yarn. My join is right along here for those of you who are just watching along. You can see right there on the sides, just a very small ridge was created. So now we're going to go ahead and join on our yarn again to our project, and we are going to begin working the rest of our body so that we can finish up our cardigan. So we are going to want to identify our bottom edge. So we joined, let me raise my camera back up so you can see. So we joined right up here to this stitch marker on the sleeve. So to show you right there, that's the end bottom edge of the sleeve where we did our join of our front panel to our back panel. So that leaves the rest of this front panel open. So let me slip my hand behind there. So we have all of this right here that we've got to start working downward along at the same time as the back panel so that we can increase the length of and actually create a body that will work as the cardigan, the rest of the cardigan. So we're going to go ahead and get started. You're going to be starting working at the front of your bottom corner of your front panel. So I'm trying to say be on your front panel. And we're going to start right here. That's where we want to start. And we'll be working around and coming past our join and continuing on to the back side, all the way around to the opposite side and finishing up at the edge of the other front panel right here. So we're going to be working around now in a row that goes all the way from the front around the back and back around to the front corner on the other side. So we're going to go ahead and join our yarn on again, and this time we'll be joining it on right here. And this for me is a chain 4. So I'm going to go right into the top of the chain 4. Or actually, this is a triple crochet for me. So I'm going to go right there into the top of the triple crochet. You're either going into the top of your chain 4 or you're working into your triple crochet. So I'm going to turn my work like this. So this right here, this section over here is my front panel. The rest of it comes around to the join that is in the armpit area basically of your project. And then this over here in this hand, in my left hand, begins the back panel. So we're going to start working in a row all the way around. So we're just going to join on there in the front top corner of our front panel at the edge. You can always identify your edge because you have your triple crochets there. So we're going to be doing the same exact thing that we have been doing. We're going to be joining on and doing this exact same stitch, working a chain 4 to start the row since we're joining back on, and then we will be working a triple crochet right there beside it. So chain 4 to start. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I'm going to do a triple crochet right there beside, right here in this very next triple crochet. Go in there with our triple crochet. And then just like we started every other row, we're going to chain 7. There's 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then we jump over here to this next chain 7 space, do our single crochet, peacoat. By chaining up 3, we do your peacoat. And then we do a single crochet right there around that same chain 7 space. And now we chain 7 again and keep working in the exact same manner for the desired number of rows. It's up to you how long you want your cardigan to be. You can always do less or more rows, but I do have that information down in the description for you, what I suggest and what I'm doing for the different sizes. So that information's all down there, but you of course can get creative and adjust this to fit your own height. I'm 5'6", so if that helps any of you kind of determine. And I do like my cardigans to go down just a bit. I don't do them like duster length or anything, but it's completely up to you on how many rows you do at this point. And then we'll be meeting back up again to do a border all the way around the sleeves and the rest of the cardigan, bottom edge of the cardigan, so you guys can meet back up with me one more time. Or once you finish out the total number of rows you want to do for your body, if you like how that looks and you don't want a border, then you can absolutely skip the border portion of this tutorial because it will be fine without a border as well. So keep working in the same exact manner. Your row ends and beginnings are the same as they were previously when you were working this piece, so nothing has changed here. You're just going to continue to work on around, and when I get over here to where the sleeve is joined, I will come back one more time and show you guys how I handle that area, and then you'll be able to continue working right along all on your own. Alright, so I've made it around here to where my sleeve is joined, and you can feel free to leave a stitch marker there as well if you're worried that you might skip over that area, but that's exactly what we want to do in this case. So I have a chain 7 right here on my hook. I'm going to bring that on down where you guys can see. So I have a chain 7 right there, and I've done my peacoat here in this. I was working on up to the join, done my peacoat and single crochets right here into this chain 7. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be hopping over and skipping over this join area over to what appears to be my next chain space. So this looks like a chain 7, so I'm going to go into that and I'm going to do my single crochet there, and then I will do my chain up 3 and do the peacoat just as we've been doing. And so I'm going to finish out that peacoat real quick, and then I do a single crochet right there in that same space, and then I continue with my chain 7, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and I just continue working on around. I'm jumping into that next chain 7 space, so nothing changes, and you just keep working just as you have been, and you'll work all the way around that same way for as many rows as you like, just as I said before. So now this is a very stretchy stitch, so I want you guys to keep that in mind. If you are doing any adjustment, keep trying your piece on as you go. Build it up a little bit and then give it a try on. Make sure that you're liking your fit. You want to do that along the way. That way if you need to adjust, either increase hook size or decrease hook size, you can do that as you're working rather than finish it out and realize it's too big or it's too tight. Either of those things can happen. You can always adjust your hook size to adjust the size of something. So if this portion were not fitting the way that you would like, or you'd like it to flare out more as it gets closer towards your hips, you can increase your hook size, and that will increase the size of it. Every half hook size will be adding more size to your piece. So you want to kind of experiment with that and increase your hook size just a little bit. Like I personally, if I was wanting to do that, I'd go from the 3.5 millimeter that I'm using up to a 4 millimeter. do a few rows, try that on, and then if I still wanted it to go larger, then I would go from that 4 millimeter up to a 4.5, and so on, because you can increase your hook size through different stages every so many rows on down a project to make it flare out more. Or if you're feeling like this is looking too big, you can decrease your hook size in the same way and then increase it again if you want to down towards the hips. It's really up to you and the fit that you want, but you can use hook sizes to kind of change that and add inches depending on how many hook sizes you go up. But if you are going up in hook size, do it gradually, at least one row at a time. You know, you don't want to just jump from a 3.5 millimeter up to a 5 millimeter. That will not look right. So if you're wanting to do an increase and get it larger, you want to go up a half a hook size at a time. And, you know, minimum do it, you know, you could do even like a quarter hook size if you have those sizes, but you want to do a gradual increase or a gradual decrease. So at least do one row in each size hook. So hopefully that'll help you guys with some adjustments on this. We'll be meeting back up when I've got the rest of the cardigan body finished up, and I'll show you guys what that looks like, and then we'll start doing our edging. Now you're joining back up with me and you have finished out the body of your cardigan, done the number of rows that you wanted. We're now going to be adding on a border to the edge. This is an optional border, so you can completely skip this step if you would like. But this is what the border will look like. I've obviously got it worked in the color that my rest of my cardigan is in, but I'm going to join on with a contrasting color of yarn so you guys can see exactly what to do. This border is going to be done in this exact same way around your sleeves and around the inside edge of the cardigan, the part that's in the center, and where you have your triple crochets. So the very bottom edge, you'll be adding the same border, but you won't need to do all of the steps. So these steps only apply to the inside edge and the edges of the sleeve, and I'll show you what you do on the bottom edge to continue out the border where we have our actual chain 7s already in place, this section right here. So this is the bottom edge of my cardigan right here, and I'll show you how you work the stitch in this area as well. But we're going to jump in real quick to getting started on doing it on the inside edge of the cardigan. So I'm going to be joining on my yarn here at the bottom inside edge, so where we have our triple crochets, and I'm going to join on, like I said, a different color yarn so that you guys can see what I'm doing. And this border is a 3-row repeat on the border, so you're going to be doing 3 rows and then you're done with the border for this piece. So we're just going to join on down here in the bottom corner, and I know it's hard to see with the black yarn, but you just want to find your last stitch, the very top of that stitch. With the way that we've been working this, that is the top of the stitch, and we're just going to go ahead and join on with a slip knot, placing that on our hook, and we're going to pull that on through. And now we want to chain up 3 to count as our first double crochet. So I've just done a chain 3 right there, and now it's very, very simple to do this on through the entire project. We're going to be working around the triple crochets that are on the edge. So we've done a chain 3, and that's going to count as our first double crochet. And now we're going to place 2 more double crochets right here around this triple crochet. It might be a chain 4 depending on which row you're on. But either way, we're just going to do 2 more double crochets right there into that space. And now we're going to jump over here and work around this next triple crochet. We're going to do 4 double crochets around that next stitch. So we're just going to work right around it, doing double crochets. So I'm going to do a total of 4 in this space. There's number 3, and here's number 4. And now we're just going to jump over here to this next space right here, and we're going to do 3 double crochets right around that triple crochet. So there's number 1, here's number 2, here's number 3, and here's number 4. And now over here in the next space, right there on that next triple crochet, we do 3. So you're just alternating between the two sets of 3 and 4 triple crochet, double crochets. We've got 4 double crochets in this space. We've got 3 double crochets in the next. So in this next space, we're going to do 4. So we're just alternating back and forth between 4 double crochets and 3 double crochets all the way around. You're going to do the same exact thing on your sleeve. And this is laying the foundation work for our border. So in this space right here, I need to do 4. So there's my 4th double crochet. And then when I jump over here to this next space, we're going to do 3 double crochets. So you're going to keep working that same exact manner all the way around the inside edge of your cardigan. And you can go ahead and do your sleeves if you would like, and then you'll meet back up with me and we're going to move on to row 2 of this border. You're meeting back up with me. You've worked all the way around the edge of your cardigan inside edge or the sleeve. So now we're going to go ahead and get started on row 2 of the border. We're going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3, and now we're going to turn our work. So now we're going to need to skip over the next 3 stitches, so 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to go right here in that space in between and do a single crochet. And now we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this chain 5 is beginning our repeat for this row. So we're going to chain 5 and we're going to skip 4 double crochets and go in between the 4th and the 5th and do a single crochet. And now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. We're going to skip 3 stitches and go right there in between those and do a single crochet. Now we're going to chain 3 again, 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to go ahead and skip 3 stitches and go right there in between those to do a single crochet. So now the repeat begins again with the chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we skip 4 stitches. We go right after the 4th and insert, and you can just work around the place, the little stitches that you have, you can just work right around that. Do a single crochet. Now we chain 3 again, 1, 2, and 3. We skip 3 stitches, go right after that 3rd stitch into the space that you find and do a single crochet. And we're going to do one more chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Skip 3 stitches, go right after that 3rd and kind of squeeze in there. In between the stitches is fine. Do your single crochet. Now we start over on our repeat with the chain 5, 4, and 5. And we skip 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we go right there after that 4th stitch and we do our single crochet right there in that space. So keep working that same manner all the way around, doing a chain 5, 2 chain 3s, and skipping the 4 stitches for the chain 5, skipping 3 stitches for the chain 3, and we'll meet back up when you're ready to do the final row of the border. Alright, so we are ready to move on to our final row. I came to my last stitch and all I did was do a single crochet, and for me it was the top of a chain 3. If it's a double crochet for you, that's perfectly fine. Just do your single crochet right there in the top of the last stitch. Now we're going to chain 3 to move up to our next row. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to turn our work, and I'm just going to come right here in that chain 3 space and do a single crochet right there around that chain 3. Now I'm going to chain 3 again, 1, 2, and 3, and then I'm going to jump over here to this next chain 3 space and do a single crochet. Now we're going to begin doing double crochets into the chain 5 space. So you're going to go ahead and wrap your yarn around your hook and go right there into that chain 5, and you're going to place 4 double crochets right there into that same chain 5 space. So there's number 2 for me, number 3, and number 4. Now we're going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to come back down into the top of that double crochet, and we're going to find these 2 little bumps right here, and we're going to insert under those. And that's where we're going to go ahead and do our slip stitch to finish out the peacoat we just made. Now we need to chain 1 and go back down in the same exact space and do 4 more double crochets. There's 1. Here's number 2, number 3, and number 4. That's 4 double crochets all right there in that same space. Now we're going to come over here to this chain 3 space, go right around it and do a single crochet. Now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to come over here to this next chain 3 space, and we're going to insert and do a single crochet right around that. And that ends the repeat for the final row of the border. So we're going to go ahead and do that one more time. So our repeat's going to begin with the 4 double crochets going into the chain 5 space. So we're going to jump right over there. You don't chain anything, you just move right over there and start doing double crochet. So there's number 1, here's number 2, here's number 3, and here's number 4. Now we're going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to come back down here and go into these 2 little bumps, 1 and 2, right there in the front of that double crochet. So just go under 1, and you can slide under the second one. Hopefully you guys can see where you're going in real easy. And then we're just going to go ahead and slip stitch to finish out that peacoat. And now we just chain 1. And now we're going to go right back down that same exact chain 5 space and do 4 more double crochets. So there's 1, here's 2, here's number 3, and here's number 4. Now we come over here and we're going to go right here into this next chain 3 space and do a single crochet. We chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And we go right there into that next chain 3 space and do a single crochet. And that ends your repeat. So you're going to keep working that same exact way all the way around and finish up your border on the inside edge of your cardigan and both of your sleeves. Or you can just do a simple peacoat around the sleeves if that's what you prefer. It's completely up to you. And then you're going to meet back up with me one more time and we're going to do the bottom edge of the cardigan. I'm going to show you how to do this border on the bottom edge. So we'll be back in just a moment to do that. So we've just completed working all the way around on this inside edge of the cardigan, and now we're going to work on the bottom edge. So we actually get to skip the first 2 steps of laying that foundation work because we're just going to work in the chain spaces that we already have. So we have just done our single crochet with our chain 3 right here at the corner. So we're going to go ahead and chain 3 again, 1, 2, and 3. And then we're just going to go right here in this very next space. It's in between the 2 triple crochets and do a single crochet. And this is just to kind of move us into position. So now we're going to do another chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to come right here in what is a chain 3 space. And we're going to work right around that by doing a single crochet. And now we're going to jump over here into our first chain 7 space and we're going to do our 4 double crochets just like we've been doing. So there's 1, here's 2, here's number 3, and number 4. And now we're going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to come back down here to the top of that double crochet and find those 2 little bumps. Go underneath those and do a slip stitch to finish out the peacoat we just formed. Now we're going to chain 1. And then we're going to move on back down into the same space that we're working in, doing 4 more double crochets. So it's just like you've been doing. We're just working in these existing spaces. So there is number 1. Here's number 2. Here is number 3. And number 4. that we have here. So now we're just going to come down here into this same space right here. We're staying in that chain 7, and we're doing our single crochet right there in that space. Now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to come jump over this picot right there, and we're going to go right there beside it and do a single crochet on the next chain 7. And now we're going to begin working our double crochets again. So we're going to do our 4 double crochets. There's 1 for me. Here's number 2. Here's number 3. Here's number 4. Now we're going to chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to go right back in the top of that double crochet and pick up those 2 little loops and finish out our picot right there. Now we chain 1, and then we go back down the same chain 7 space, and we do 4 more double crochet. Oops, bumped the camera, sorry guys. 2, 3, and 4. And we go back down that same chain 7 space and do our single crochet. Now we chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Jump over that picot, go into the next space and do a single crochet. So that's the same thing. You're going to be doing that all the way down on this bottom edge to finish out the cardigan. And I'll go ahead and finish mine out in black, and then I'll come back to you guys one last time with a few pictures, and there will of course be pictures at the beginning of the video as well. Hopefully you've enjoyed this tutorial. Please make sure that you give this video a thumbs up. Please hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so that you don't miss any of my tutorials. And until next time, bye.